replace your diet. So they're basically just there to enhance your diet and just give you, a little bit of filling in where it might need. So if you are a little deficient in vitamin D, you might take some vitamin D pills. That doesn't mean you want to completely rely on vitamin D capsules to get your vitamin D, because it's you get vitamin D from sunlight, but we'll talk about more of that later. But kind of goes along with everything. So if you're eating a balanced diet, you should be getting a lot of these already. Some of them are more specific that you're probably not going to get, but if you're eating well enough, then you really shouldn't need supplements. But there are other places where you should be taking them. So there are a lot of different kinds of supplements, a lot of different brands, and how they're regulated kind of is the reason for that. Just because there's no limit to how many different brands that they can come out with. So there could be 100 different brands of creatine, 100 different brands of protein. It's like, how do you pick which one's good, which one's bad? We'll talk about more about that later. So an exception to not needing supplements, like I said, if you're eating well enough, necessarily you don't really need them too much. But if you have a really, really high exercise level, you may need them more than people that are more sedentary. So if you're burning more off, you're going to need to put more back on. So you guys kind of fall into that category a little bit more than most people. So I'm not prescribing any of this, so don't go home and buy all 8 of these. But play around with it. The only way to kind of figure out if you need it or not is to kind of try it. Or the specific ones like vitamin D and like the ZMA, which is zinc and magnesium, you would have to do like a blood profile to see if you're actually deficient in them, to see if it's actually worth taking. But it's not gonna hurt you if you're gonna take them. But the other ones it would be kind of hard to test for to see if you have high enough levels. There's definitely a way to do that. But I'd say the best way to figure out if you need them is just to try it and see how you feel on it. So there's my top 8 up there. Like I said, there's a lot of different sources that would agree with several of them, not exactly all 8, but in CrossFit those are pretty much across the board as far as the supplements go. So the first one on my list, number 1 most important, would be fish oil, or just omega-3 fatty acids. So they help with inflammation. So we do a lot here that inflames the body. Anything from push-ups to heavy squat snatches. It's going to inflame the body a little bit, whether it's in your joints, your muscles, wherever it might be. You're going to have a lot of inflammation if you're exercising, and especially with weight, you're going to have a lot of inflammation. So we want to limit that. So fish oil can be a really good source to try to take some of that away. So as far as the benefits of fish oil, better heart function. So those healthy fats are linked to just having better cardiovascular health. Also better brain function. There's a lot of studies that fats actually are really good for the brain. The right ones are really good for the brain processes. Anti-inflammatory, like I said, so it can help with recovery if you're taking an anti-inflammatory. But it kind of goes back to the same thing I said before. Not all of them are created equal. So there could be 100 different brands of fish oil. It's like, how do you know which one's the best? So what I would shoot for if you're going to go with fish oil would be a wild-caught fish. So a lot of times it says that on the label, wild-caught versus farm-raised. Kind of the same thing in the store if you buy like salmon. Wild-caught is better quality. Farm-raised, they're packed together. They're fed a bunch of probably corn, which just beefs them up. Whereas wild-caught, they eat what they're naturally supposed to eat out in the wild. So usually that's a little healthier. Cold water and smaller fish also are better. So like sardines, anchovies, those are better quality fish oil as opposed to like a bigger fish like a tuna or a whitefish, something like that. So like a smaller fish would be something to shoot for as well. And then so anabolic state. So anabolic is muscle building, and catabolic is muscle wasting. So anabolic's good. So you want to be, always, trying to create muscle or, burn fat. That's a good thing. So that's one other benefit of fish oil. The next one is vitamin D. Vitamin D3 specifically. There's vitamin D2 also. But the kind you get from sunlight is vitamin D3. That's what our body produces when we get enough sunshine that hits our skin. So, you can get it naturally, obviously, from the sun, but here in PA, our weather sucks. So it's kind of hard. It's been great recently, but all winter, there's 5 days of sun maybe. So, and even when we do get sun, it's not the strongest. So that could be a really good supplement. I've been supplementing that for about 4 years now. It definitely helps a lot. Me specifically, I started taking it for mood. If you have ever heard of SAD, I don't think I've tried this. I picked it up and set it down. The SAD disorder, or seasonal affective disorder. That's basically just when the seasons change and there's not a lot of sunlight, and you're not getting enough vitamin D. It's linked to depression and anxiety. So that's what that is. So that's why I started taking it way back. That's definitely helped me a lot. But it can also be linked to better bone health and stuff like that too. So a lot of people say if you don't take vitamin D, there's no point in even taking calcium. So if you're taking calcium, it's not going to do anything without vitamin D. Vitamin D actually kind of makes it work, makes it actually good for your bones. And it's very cheap also. So vitamin D is not really that expensive. You can get 100 capsules at Walmart for $8 or something like that. It'll last you a few months, so it's not really that expensive. But same goes back to the fish oil. There are better brands than others. So you want to look for a reputable brand. But usually the ones that they put in stores are pretty good. But you don't want just a lot of fillers. You want mostly vitamin D. What you get? Just go with this. The other thing that vitamin D is really good for is testosterone production. So ladies, you might not think that you need testosterone, but you actually do. It's a hormone that we all need. Different amounts. Men obviously have more of it, but women still have testosterone. You still need it to be in that anabolic state. So if you don't have enough testosterone production, you're going to be in a muscle wasting state and not a muscle building state. So we want to be in that muscle building state. You're not going to get huge, like a bodybuilder, but just to be burning fat and not burning muscle is what we want. So that can help with that. It also helps reduce inflammation. So just like fish oil, can cool down your body a bit, give your joints, your muscles a break, help with recovery. Also, there's been studies that link it to risk of, or reducing risks of certain cancers like breast and prostate, I believe. Yeah. It can't hurt to try it if it reduces risk of cancers. But I'd say the big one for me, why I take it, is for the SAD thing, the seasonal affective disorder. If your mood's better, it's just going to help with everything. If you feel better mentally, it makes a huge difference physically too. So that's why I take it, but it also has its physical benefits as well. All right, next we get into protein. So this is the big one that people go crazy over. And it is number 3 for a reason. Protein is very important. But like I said before about the diet, if you are eating enough protein in your diet, protein shake is not necessarily needed, not necessary. It's so it can be good though if you can't eat directly after you work out. A lot of people kind of find it hard to eat right after they work out, and you have a certain amount of time that your body is really craving that protein right after you work out. So if if you're not one that likes to eat for a while after you work out, protein shake would be a really good thing. But once again, it goes back to the quality. There's 100 different brands out there. I take Progenics, which is pretty high quality, but it's really expensive. So usually the ones that are really good are a little higher priced. They have less fillers, just pure protein. So if you take it within 10 minutes post-workout, a protein shake, that can lower your cortisol levels. And cortisol is a fat-producing hormone in our body. So a lot of people that sleep too much, they you go too long without, after working out without getting protein in, you can actually produce more cortisol. So having that protein shake right after you work out, or having something that has protein in it, can actually delay that and keep that muscle building state going, as opposed to releasing that cortisol and producing more fat. So it's kind of like a stress hormone. Your body is really stressed after you work out, but if you take some protein, it can kind of delay that and negate that. So that's a really good thing about taking protein. Obviously, it repairs your muscle.
So a shake is better than a bar?
Not necessarily. No. Like I said, any protein source right away is probably good. But if you don't like to eat, you come in right after you have your thing, so that's okay.
Okay.
But I'm okay with eating, but some people don't eat for 2 hours just because their stomach isn't settled. So that would be when you probably take a shake or something like that. But a bar would work too. Protein, obviously the main reason people take it is to rebuild and repair your muscle. We do a lot of breaking down here and any kind of working out you do. So that's a big one. Reduces soreness also. So there's a lot of different kinds of proteins. There is whey protein, which is probably the most popular. Not just in CrossFit, but just all across the board. That's probably because it's one of the most easily digestible proteins. Most people can handle it in their stomach, and it goes right in and it goes right to work. So there's no really delay. It just goes right in. It can be taken right into the muscle, and that repair process can start right away. So whey protein is really good, high quality protein. There's casein protein or casein. Some people say different. That's another milk protein, but that's a slow absorbing protein. So Progenics makes Cocoon. If you guys have heard of that, that's the one you take at night. That's got casein in it, so it's a slow release thing. So overnight while you're sleeping, that slowly releases. So it kind of keeps your body fed while you sleep, so you don't go out of that muscle building state. So you always want to be in that muscle building state if you can be. So that can help with that. Soy protein. I wouldn't recommend eating too much of it. That causes a really high estrogen level in your body. So too much estrogen, once again, kind of too little testosterone can be a bad thing. They kind of go hand in hand. So obviously women have more estrogen than men, but we all produce it a little bit in our bodies. So too much can be a bad thing. So soy protein, in too high quantities, I'd say would probably not be the best thing. Unless you're vegetarian, that's kind of hard to get away from it. But and then there's quinoa, grains, vegetables, beans, rice, legumes. They all have protein in them to a certain extent. So what we'll get into next is complete proteins versus incomplete. You guys know what complete versus incomplete are? Any ideas? Guesses? Josh?
Complete has the full array of amino acids versus some of the other inferior ones might not have. I forget how many there are. 23,
21.
21, I think. But
Something like that, yeah. But yeah, the complete have all 9 amino acids. So those are the ones that really do most of the work with rebuilding the amino acids, or the essential amino acids. The branch chain amino acids, BCAAs, those are 3 of the essential amino acids. That's why people take them. So those are 3 responsible for the most muscle repair. But yeah, complete would be the ones that have the essential, and incomplete are the ones that do not. So complete proteins would be whey, casein, egg protein,